that's where these players are going to learn, myself included. So the psychology thing I don't think is an issue for us because it's been happening for so long, so anyone in that seat's going to don't have to feel the pressure. I'm proud of this group, but it's very hard to kind of defend the whole team for that performance.
Yeah, we just couldn't capitalise on some opportunities. We were creating opportunities, but then we weren't capitalising on them. So that was pretty clear to see. And then, at the back end of the game, we kind of just piggybacked them up the field without penalties. So that made it tough.
The Philippines on Sunday accused China's Coast Guard of installing a floating barrier in a disputed area of the South China Sea. Footage released by the Philippine Coast Guard showed several Chinese vessels near the barrier, which Manila says is preventing Filipinos from entering and fishing in the area. A spokesperson said the Philippine Coast Guard and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources strongly condemn the installation of the barrier in part of the Scarborough Shoal. China claims 90% of the South China Sea, overlapping with the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Beijing seized the Scarborough Shoal in 2012, forcing Filipino fishermen to travel further for smaller catches. They were allowed to return as bilateral relations improved markedly under the Philippines' then-President Rodrigo Duterte. But tensions have mounted again since his successor, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., took office last year. The Philippine Coast Guard and Fisheries Bureau personnel discovered the floating barrier on a routine patrol on Friday. China's embassy in Manila did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
India's reactions are exactly what one would have expected. The tit-for-tat responses, the expulsion of diplomats, the travel advisory warning. And keep in mind as well, the Indian government it likes to be projected as very strong, confident, nationalistic. So there was no way that India was just going to sit on its hands after these explosive allegations were made. That's where third-party mediation can be useful from the US or perhaps from the UK or another close friend of both countries. That's the key. I mean, it's too early to look for off-ramps, but I think it's not too early to think about how to ensure that each side does not ascend a few more rungs on the escalatory ladder. These countries, all of which have alliances with Canada that go beyond the intelligence alliance, this Five Eyes alliance as well, they need to find some way to signal their support to Canada during this very difficult moment. But indeed, those same countries, especially the US and the UK, they have very important relationships with India as well. And certainly the US, which has this strategic partnership with India because of, indeed, this strong view that India can play that role of counterweight to China. So the US is in a tough spot.
If Trudeau loves Khalistanis so much, you are the owner of the world's largest land. Create a Khalistan in your Canada, and that will also fulfill the Khalistanis' wish. There will be peace in our country, and your government will be stable forever.
भारत माता की जय भारत माता की यही कहने के लिए हम यहाँ पर आए हैं बोलिए भारत माता की जय भारत माता की जय ट्रूडो होश में आओ होश में आओ होश में आओ कनाडा का प्रधानमंत्री होश में आओ होश में आओ होश में आओ
France has decided to bring back its ambassador, and so in the coming hours, our ambassador with several diplomats will return to France, and we are ending our military cooperation with the de facto authorities of Niger, because they no longer want to fight against terrorism. It will be organized over time in the weeks to come, but it is the end of this cooperation because we are not here to participate in political life, to be hostages in some way to the putschists. But I will be very clear, we already see it today in Mali. They will return in an orderly manner in the coming weeks and months, and there we will consult with the putschists because we want it to happen peacefully.
By the end of the year?
By the end of the year.
Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said on Sunday the likelihood was rising that Nagorno-Karabakh's 120,000 ethnic Armenians would flee the region, fearing persecution. That's after an Azerbaijan military victory last week in a conflict that dates back to the fall of the Soviet Union.
Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh continue to face the threat of ethnic cleansing. In recent days, humanitarian aid has arrived in Nagorno-Karabakh, but this does not change the situation. And unless real living conditions are created for the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh in their homes and effective mechanisms of protection from ethnic cleansing, then the likelihood that the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh will see exile from their homeland as the only way to preserve their lives and identity increases significantly.
A mass exodus could change the delicate balance of power in the South Caucasus region, a patchwork of ethnicities crisscrossed with oil and gas pipelines, where Russia, the United States, Turkey and Iran are jostling for influence. On Sunday, a Reuters reporter saw heavily laden cars with civilians approach an aid centre in the Armenian border village of Kornidzor. Last week, Azerbaijan scored a victory over ethnic Armenians who've controlled the Karabakh region since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. An advisor to the leader of the Karabakh Armenians told Reuters earlier on Sunday that the population would leave because they feel unsafe under Azerbaijani rule. Russia had acted as a guarantor for a peace deal that ended a 44-day war in Karabakh 3 years ago, and many Armenians blame Moscow for failing to protect the region. Indeed, Pashinyan blamed Russia publicly on Sunday for failing to do enough for Armenia, which he said would review its alliance with Moscow. Russian officials say Pashinyan is to blame for his own mishandling of the crisis.
Slum residents are more affected by the heat in all aspects, especially with the current climate situation, because we don't have any energy control here. We don't have any control over this absurd heat. We also have many blackouts because we have a lot of houses.
"10 or 20 years ago, there was another climate. It was better and less hot. This, as I said, is the result of destroying nature. When we, the human beings, don't respect nature, it will not give us a chance either."
Upside down. Don't tell me that. No way.
Is everybody doing okay up there? You'll be down shortly, all right? Wait a second.
Ewig.
Huh?